G'day! Today on Snail Trail 4x4, we are installing a Dobinsons Diff Drop kit. Hey everybody, I'm Jimmy Jet. The benefits for reducing or lowering your differential is to reduce the angle of your CV. The CV is really at a stiff angle on this vehicle here, this 4Runner, because we've done a lot of upgrades to the suspension and we've pushed those A-arms way down. So because those A-arms are going down, the CV angle is at a really difficult angle. Sometimes, not on this one, we've checked it a few times, but you can hear the CVs binding or grinding, especially when in four-wheel drive and the tires are turned is probably the most difficult time for that. So just make sure of your CVs and make sure that they're properly lubricated. Make sure that you have the boots are all proper, that there's no rips or tears in them. And whenever you're doing a suspension lift, make sure that they can freely spin without any problems. We're going to be installing this Dobinsons Diff Drop kit today, so we can just lower that diff a little bit more, and it's going to put a little bit more ease on those CVs. So step one is to lift up the vehicle. So after putting the truck on jack stands and removing both of the skid plates, we determined that this one right here and this guy right here are the two spaces where we're going to put those spacers right above those washers. I'll crawl underneath the vehicle and show you the other angle. Here I am underneath the vehicle looking towards the front, and you can see this bar here. This holds up the differential and then it mounts up here to this cross member. So we're going to put that spacer right here, and then we've got the same thing on the other side. This bar here that mounts up here to the cross member. That's where we're putting the spacers. The back side, which it's difficult to show, is mounted to the rear cross member, and there's no adjusting that. So I'm curious about how much this is actually going to drop the diff. So we were able to loosen these big old bolts that were down here and down here. We used a 7/8 drive on those, and then there's a nut on the top side that's a 19 millimeter. From there we loosened it a little bit, and then I added the jack underneath the diff just to support it. Alright, so first thing we're doing is we're dropping that washer on there, and then this is the lower big washer. It goes this direction on here. It sucks up into that area, so the hump is actually to the top and the washer and all flat on the bottom there. Now I'm going to put in the upper washer, which has a ring and goes down over the top of this sleeve. And you can squeeze that down, and then the spacer can go in there. That's all together. Then we can push this up. Aligns. There it goes. And then we do a washer on the top, and then the nylon nut. So we've got the skid pan here, and we have to use these 4 spacers on all 4 corners where you bolt it up. They provided us with all the hardware, so that's wonderful, and these are 12 millimeter bolts. Oh yeah. So these were small, or the new spacers are too small for the TRD skid plate. It doesn't fit, so we had to drill them out. I was using a 7/16 drill bit, and now there's plenty of room, so now we can bolt them up. After drilling those spacers out to fit the bolts for the TRD skid plate, everything went together great. We did use the spacers, the factory spacers that were there. We just stacked the new spacer on top of that, so then you could just have that additional space. It didn't line up exactly perfect. We are probably going to add a few washers in there here in the future, and we did need to go buy a new bolt for that section because it is much longer than the factory one was. That said, if you have any questions, please put them down below. Hammer down on the subscribe button, and don't forget, keep crawling.